Welcome back to another Tera Plays Tera video. Today's video we are going to go over some of the things that I personally think Harrowhold needs changed. Now this will be a full Harrowhold run. I'll kind of briefly go over all the phases, but for anyone who used to run Harrowhold back in the day, you'll notice that it's a little different now with all the gear changes. And as you can see in phase 1, the group I'm with already killed the one dragon, and honestly, one thing that they could do besides upping the loot is obviously reworking Harrowhold to be equipped better with our current gear, or as I've mentioned before, maybe just removing it for another raid, because it's kind of silly of the stuff that we'll get into in this video. And this video is just to overall kind of showcase like what Harrowhold is now, and that's all of P1. That's the first phase. You can see the group I was with, we were able to like literally help kill 3 of the 4 dragons, and that's because just everything dies so quickly. Phase 2 is kind of funny. The same thing as phase 1, you'll notice a pattern throughout all of Harrowhold. Due to all the gear and all the changes, Harrowhold just has become very, very weak than what it used to. Do understand, Harrowhold used to be something you'd run towards the end of Frost Metal and or Stormcry gear. A lot of people couldn't really do it until they got HO or Fraxum gear, and now that the best gear is Kaya's with stigmas, you'll just see there are just issues throughout Harrowhold that realistically there's no mechs involved at all. So yeah, sit back, I hope you enjoy, and I'll come on and off the mic as I feel stuff should be stated. Now, the funny thing I want to mention about phase 2 is that Virgus flies away halfway through the fight after 3 shield phase are broken, but as you can see here, our DPS was so strong that he did not even get to do a 3rd shield phase and fly away. So, yeah, as you can see, the raid needs a buff. We killed him. And the funny thing is not only can you kill him, this creates a hilarious soft lock that, yeah, he just doesn't fly in the air. He lays dead. Believe it or not, that is the same death animation as phase 4, and you just can't progress. So what we had to do as a group is, just kind of reset and do phase 2 all over again. And it's actually funny because you'll see later on we do phase 2, we hold DPS at 40%, and we just we don't push him to death like we did this time. We just didn't think it was possible. And as you can see, I put on text there on the screen that it would actually be kind of cool if this was like an ult kill that could give different loot, but obviously the devs just didn't think that far ahead. When this raid was made, again, remember, people were no stigmas, Frost Metal, Stormcry gear. No one was doing that amount of damage. So like I said, we just reset, come back in, hold damage, and do the phase 2 correctly. Do know firewalls are hilarious, and I have to say that towards the end of this, you'll see probably a lot of people struggling, and that's because quite a few people in this raid have maybe even never done Harrowhold, because again, any new players, Harrowhold is just irrelevant. All the resources you need from it drop from the current dungeon rotation as it is. So overall, it would be really amazing to see this raid reworked with better loot, actually give the dragon better endurance and HP. That way people see the mechs. Personally, I think the mechs still probably hit hard enough as it is. Maybe some, increase the damage for most of them quite a bit. But overall, I think if people had to do the actual mechanics and see most of them, then the raid could still be a lot of fun. It's just, right now, it's just a complete slaughter fest is all. And I have to say, I think the hardest part about this raid is the ballista phase, which you'll see. And I even mentioned over text that I think, had to do ballistas like 3 or 4 times, just because people are not used to it. It's something completely different, so... But yeah, feel free, again, I'll jump off the mic, you can sit back, enjoy the rest of phase 2, how we, did it from here. Okay, so now going into phase 3, I'm gonna be honest, it's just basically a big DPS check. drop the dragon from like 100 down to 20 or whatever, 18 or whatever percent we did. There again are meant to be mechanics in this. People are meant to take a color. Dragon assigns you a color actually, and the paws will be assigned a color. Basically, you want to match your colors and avoid swipes, do firewalls, do blood walls, do all this sorts of stuff. But again, he just instantly dies. It's actually funny, by the time he even summons colors to his paws here, it's already done. And again, like I said on screen, what do you mean mechanics? They just they don't exist. So again, more HP would be great. Yes, some of us slayed. Again, I want to say a good portion of this raid, some of these people have maybe hardly seen this, so again, it's just not really something that's done. We just decided, hey, let's run Harrowhold for the heck of it, because we had nothing else to do. So that's phase 3. Phase 4 is basically going to go the same way. Once we got the reset down, again, we basically just run in. We skip firewalls by doing enough damage. We don't even have a Lancer to block the pushback. The DPS is just so strong with what gear people have now that this raid is just kind of a joke. And it's kind of sad. Again, I love Harrowhold. I love doing the mechanics. I've done some of the mechanics on a PC fan server that had it for a while. I think they still have it for phase 4. Just phase 4, I've done some of those mechanics. And even back in the day when I used to do the raid somewhat properly and learn how to do the raid properly, it was a lot of fun. So it would be really cool to see Harrowhold be reworked with proper loot, proper mechs. I mean, even here, you're supposed to, if you do this style, you're supposed to hold until he does shield phase and then break shield and go through. And that's not even the proper way to do it. And just the amount of raw damage that you can get in Tera console for this old raid is kind of ridiculous. Again, it's kind of understandable because of where the game was back in, you know, the Frostmail Stormcry days to now Kai's +9 with stigmas. But it'd be cool to see it reworked as a whole. Or if it's not going to get reworked, hopefully they exchange it with another raid that has been worked for our gear with better loot. So that's about all. If you've enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you got any questions about the raid or in general, feel free to ask and I'll do my best to get back to you. And as always, if you're new or a returner, please consider subscribing if you have not. I'd greatly appreciate it and it'll help the channel out a lot. That's about it. Hope to see you in Aboria, gamers.